Hello everybody out there, and welcome back here with the future once again to another showcase and review. And today we are going to do another wrestling figure showcase and review. I added another figure to my wrestling action figure collection lately, and this is not a WWF figure like I've been showing off in the last few vids like Jakks Pacific. I think I've done like 4 or 5 now by then, but this is actually a WCW World Championship Wrestling, which was eventually in 2001 bought by the World Wrestling Federation, now World Wrestling Entertainment, WWE, whatever you want to call them. But this is when WCW was still around and in their heyday, you know, the WCW Nitro days. I've seen these labeled as the 1998 Nitro series of figures. They were the 6-inch line, launched by the original San Francisco toy makers in 1998. This was like the toy maker's second effort at an action figure line. In 1994, they actually obtained the license and started making the smaller rubber Galoob style 7-inch figures. They were in like the poses of the old Galoob 1990 figures, but a little bit taller. And they were really easy to scuff up and stuff, kind of like the LJN WWF figures back in the day. But then the WCW figures by original San Francisco toy makers, they experimented with a few, the vibrating figures, and they had a couple different kind of figures they experimented with till they came out with the 1998 series here, which was a pretty popular line when it launched in 98. They were kind of in scale, you know, with the Jakks Pacific line that was popular by the WWF at the time, even though they were in harder plastic and not in that rubber form and whatnot. But it didn't last too long, as they would eventually go to Marvel Toy Biz in 1999, which would find another figure that is, you know, related to the figure I'm showing you here today, because this is the 1998 Nitro Series 1 Raven action figure. I'm going to call it the Nitro Series because I've seen 2 figure checklists now that have it labeled as the Nitro Series. They did like 3 series of these figures before they went to Toy Biz. But yeah, a lot of history there on WCW figures. So now let's get into one of my favorite characters back then in wrestling. He started out actually as Johnny Polo, then became the Raven character in ECW, and then signed with the WCW. And then in the first series of these 98 figures, they had a Raven action figure. So now let's not wait any longer, and let's check out the 1998 Nitro Series 1 WCW Original San Francisco Toy Makers Raven action figure. Let's check it out. Okay, so here we have the Nitro Series 1 1998 Raven action figure by the original San Francisco toy makers. And you see that these had actions to them, unlike the Jakks Pacific line that were just, you know, the bone crunching action. These actually had actions to them. This one actually just had the waist twisting action, and when you twisted it, I'm going to have to put his arms a little bit farther up to showcase this, but when you twisted his waist there, his arms came down. It was the Power Punch Raven. I believe they called it. But this was the Series 1 figure from the original San Francisco toy makers. And these were much in the design of the vibrating action figures that they made too, just on a smaller scale. So if you have the vibrating action figures or ever had any experience with those, we had one, I think we still have one to this day. It's actually the Kevin Nash one, but my brother has it at the time. I think that if you have one of those, you definitely, or not I think, but you definitely will know the consistency of the plastic and the, you know, material this is made out of, that really hard plastic. I mean, when you hit it on the table, it's a very solid plastic. Unlike, you know, the later figures that were made by original San Francisco toy makers, the ECW line that they launched in 1999, which actually had a lot more articulation and detail and were very, you know, upgraded from the 98 series, as you can see there. But also, I wanted to show off, though, they kind of, you know, had some traces of the figures. As you can see, the Power Punch action was also here with this Devon figure that you can see on the back, and very much like the original San Francisco toy makers WCW line. And you can see that both have that same, like, you know, action feature where you can place your thumb in there and twist them back and forth. I kind of wasn't doing his action right, as you're supposed to twist it back here and back and forth, so you can kind of see from behind there how it works. The Devon one, if it had that, it's just, you know, back and forth like that. But, you know, made by the same company, I found that, you know, I found that very unique that they both have the same kind of action, even though from totally different lines. So you can kind of find, you know, like I said, subtle traces in the later line by ECW. But that's Devon Dudley there, and I wanted to show that off because the actions are very similar, as I said. And, oh, he fell over. You know, one half of the Dudley boys there. Devon. You know, I need a Bubba Ray, actually. I need more ECW figures. This is the only 99 original San Francisco Toymaker figure that I have from the ECW wave. Well, let's take a look at this Raven. And if you have saw the Major Wrestling Figure Podcast videos here on YouTube, if you haven't, I would suggest check them out. You know, Brian Myers and Matt Cordona, who also wrestle as Zack Ryder and Kurt Hawkins, have their own wrestling figure podcast, and they also do videos here on YouTube. And I saw that he did this Raven figure alongside with the Toy Biz Raven here that I have as well. And he has, you know, kind of the same thing that I was thinking too. Like, first of all, the jacket's kind of weird. The shorts are very short, you know, almost Daisy Duke-like, which he wore a lot longer shorts. He didn't have the green knee pads like he's known for. The face is way too nice for Raven. He mentioned all this stuff in his video. He actually has the one with the print, and I'm saying he, that is in Brian Myers as in Kurt Hawkins. He actually has the one with the print on the shirt, where mine is just a blank shirt. This was actually the first one, and then they made a running change and added some print to the shirt because Raven was known for wearing shirts with print on them. But they had the jacket that was unremovable, which is kind of a bummer there for anybody. But this was the first Raven action figure, so it was cool at the time, and you didn't have the other figures to compare it to. You can see he had the short black boots with the white socks underneath. They, you know, in the prototype picture, they actually had him with green knee pads, and this actually comes with black instead. But you see the Raven sculpt. I mean, it's not too bad, but definitely too nice for the character. They gave him, you know, the chin strap beard there, and you know, the grunge hair. So they tried to make it, you know, as close to Raven as they could for this style of figure that they were making at the time. You know, they're kind of wide too, kind of look kind of funny there in the legs and everything like that, but definitely with the shorts so short. But nonetheless, it's a cool Raven figure, and like I said, the first Raven figure that we ever got. And I said earlier that he was Johnny Polo at first. Well, actually, you know, that was his first most well-known character on WWF television, but he was actually known as, you know, Scotty the Body, and a few other names, Scotty Flamingo in WCW, before he became Johnny Polo, and became pretty well known as that name. And then he went to ECW and became the Raven character and totally switched it up. This guy actually in real life, Scott Levy, is actually a genius, like legit genius. But yeah, you can see here Toy Biz took over in '99, and this is the Raven figure that I've shown off in a past lot showcase and review that I did. He has the cool Marvel Daredevil shirt because they were paired with Marvel at the time. But you can see the updates they made. I mean, the green knee pads. These were much, you know, a year later and much better figures. You know, the articulation at the knee and the ankle. Had the action when you squeeze the legs together, the arms, because this had 2 trash cans with it. This was from the Bruisers series, I think the second wave of the Toy Biz figures of WCW in 1999. You can see it had 2 trash cans. This was the Trash Can Attack Raven. But I thought it'd be cool for a comparison because you got a much better looking, more accurate Raven in just a year after the original San Francisco Toymakers came out with the '98 Raven. But it was cool for a comparison here too. Actually, let me lay them both down here and you can get a look at them here. But yeah, the same character, and you can see how much wider and bulkier the '98 series was by original San Francisco Toymakers compared to the Toy Biz figures. So yeah, not really much more to say other than I have more WCW figures, a couple 4.5-inch figures that I picked up in a wave along with this one here in a lot on I should say on eBay, not a wave but a lot. And yeah, I will be showing those off very soon. They're very cool. And yeah, as I said before, I want to thank everybody who's watched. If you first time viewing, make sure you hit that subscribe button, drop a comment down below, give me a like if you like what you see, share it with your friends. If you're a repeat viewer, I really appreciate all the support, all the feedback here on my channel. And I hope everybody enjoyed this look at the newest action figure to my collection, the 1998 Nitro Series 1 original San Francisco Toy Makers WCW action figure of Raven. And quote the Raven, nevermore. Keep collecting. And until next time, guys, peace out.